Good morning, everyone. I'm Travis Fridgen, the Acting Dean of Science, and I'd like to welcome you to the first ever Faculty of Science virtual town hall. We thought it was an important thing to do to provide you with this opportunity to ask some general questions about the university, the faculty, our programs, or your studies. I know you didn't think that this is the way your first year was going to be, but I really applaud you for doing your best in a not so normal situation. I sincerely hope that you are learning a lot in your courses. This first year builds on a foundation of knowledge and builds a foundation of knowledge and study habits that you will carry with you into your second year and beyond. And I know your instructors have been putting a lot of work into the delivery of these courses. Remember, this is new to all of us, not just you, but all of your instructors as well. And I assure you, what you will get out of your courses is proportional to what you put into them. And that's true whether the format you're learning in is remote like now, or when we're back to in-person instruction, hopefully in the very near future. I also want to remind you that if you're experiencing any difficulties with a course, your instructor or lab instructor is your first point of contact. I assure you that these people can help you, and you should feel comfortable asking questions of them, whether it's in a tutorial or a synchronous class, or even a private email. If you need help deciding what courses you need to take, each department, which you will be doing actually, I guess, in the next month or so, each department has an academic program officer, and you can find their contacts through the departmental homepage. I also want to bring your attention to the resources at your disposal here at Memorial. If you Google Student Life Memorial or just type in mun.ca/student, you'll come to a website that will introduce you to a whole host of resources, including a student success link, where you can learn how to be successful as a student, how to get involved on campus, explore careers, etc. You'll also find student support such as accessibility and counseling services. I urge you to go to mun.ca/student and explore the website and see all the services that are offered to you. There's many different pages that you can click through, and FAQs, so frequently asked questions and things like that. The important thing for you is that if you have a question, you need to ask. And you need to remember that those three letters, ask, in order to get your question answered. If you don't know where to get your question answered, you can email ask@mun.ca and they'll point you in the right direction. There's also a phone number and a live chat available through this website. I'm now going to turn it over to the Associate Dean of Science responsible for undergraduate programs, Dr. Shireen Bungay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shireen Bungay, Acting Associate Dean of Science Administration and Undergraduate, and I'm a faculty member in the Computer Science Department. I just wanted to speak for a minute about the Peer Network Program. So this is a program that was developed by the Student Experience Office. The program connects senior Memorial students to incoming first-year undergraduates, and it's to provide advice and support in your adjustment to university life. So if you should have received information about who your peer mentor is via email, and the peer mentors schedule regular group meetings, and they're also available for email chats and things. So if you're not aware of your peer mentor, please reach out to us. You can contact us at science@mun.ca. And also, with your experience this past year at Memorial, I would like to encourage everyone to apply to become a peer mentor. Applications are currently being accepted, and for those who are selected to participate in the program, you would do a 4-week training program. And as a mentor, you would gain career-relevant skills in leadership and communication. So I would encourage everyone to participate in the program, both as a mentee and a mentor.
I am muted. There we go. Hi, I'm Kelly Foss, and I'm the Communications Advisor in the Faculty of Science. I have questions that were submitted by students via email that I will ask the panelists on your behalf. I'll also be monitoring the Q&A function that you see on your screen. So if you'd like to ask a question, please type it in there and I will relay it to the dean or one of the other participants. You don't need to change the default to send the question to a specific person. Just leave it as is and type it in. However, you should note that there is a character limit for submitting questions. It's about 250 characters. So if you send a question that's longer, I won't see it. So just make sure that you keep your question brief. Before I begin, I also want to be clear on the ground rules for today's town hall. Our panelists are not able to answer questions related to any ongoing disciplinary issues, legal matters before the courts, or any staffing or HR matters. Please don't ask questions that might infringe on someone else's privacy or that are very specific to your personal situation. Please keep it respectful and hopefully we can provide some great information for you. I'll also ask our panelists to try to keep their answers brief if they can, so we can try to get in as many questions as possible in the hour that we have. So our first question is for Dr. Fridgen, and it sort of expands a little bit on what you mentioned in your opening. How can I email my professor directly to ask questions? Or why isn't my instructor replying or replying faster?
So that's a good question. And yes, that's exactly who you should contact first about any challenges you might be having with your course material. In your syllabus, which should be available to you through your Brightspace course, most instructors will have provided contact information. It's important that that's how you contact them. So for example, if anyone's in my class, I've said, I do not answer Brightspace email. So don't email me that way. But many other instructors do want you to use the Brightspace email. It's important to look at the individual course. It'd be nice if we all did things the same, but we're all different, so we do things differently. But look at your syllabus. It'll tell you how to contact your instructor. Also in the syllabus, most instructors will let you know how long it will take to get back to them, something like 24 or 48 hours. It's important to realize that your profs have other aspects of their jobs that they need to tend to as well, and these things might be taking up some of their time. But if a prof hasn't gotten back to you in the time they specify, it may mean that your email has gotten lost. It may mean they're busy, but I think it's fair at that point to politely send them another email. I hope that answers the question.
The next question is for Dr. Bungay. What help is available other than asking my instructor?
Okay, that's a good question. And I've gotten that one myself as well. So depending on the course that you're looking for help with, there may be teaching assistants who are available to answer questions, maybe lab instructors or instructional assistants as well, who you can contact. And also, you could reach out to your fellow classmates. Again, depending on the course, many courses have discussion forums or maybe other means of communication set up for the course. So you could reach out to your fellow classmates that way. And also, many departments in science have help centers, and they may run differently in different departments. But I believe that if you are enrolled in a course in a specific department, you should have access to a Brightspace shell for the help center for that department. And the help centers are staffed with maybe students and instructional staff who are able to answer your questions as well. So there are many different places you could go to ask questions.
Dr. Fridgen, the next question's for you. This student says they feel stressed and isolated and they're finding it affecting grades. What advice can we give them?
So I think the answer depends on whether this is an emergency or not. So if you're feeling distressed, then the first thing I would do is to maybe contact Campus Enforcement Patrol. The main thing is to contact someone. If it's an emergency, campus enforcement can guide you to the right supports. If it's a non-emergency issue, then there's online resources, like I said, at that mun.ca/students website. So there's academic success workshops that are live, and there are also some recorded workshops that you can watch whenever you want to. And they'll help you with things like time management. If you procrastinate a little too much, they'll help you with test and performance anxiety, introduction to remote learning. And then there's also the Student Wellness and Counseling Center, and you can contact them to speak to a counselor. So again, I think it's important to go on to mun.ca/students and really look through there and see what supports Memorial has for you to take advantage of.
Dr. Bungay, another student would like to know if the department will let them know what courses they need to do each semester.
Right. Okay. So many of you may have received advice from the Academic Advising Center about what courses you should take this year, each semester. But it's up to you to determine or decide which courses you want to take. Of course, keeping in mind the courses that are required for the program you're interested in. And you should ensure that you register for those courses at your assigned registration time. So if you're not sure, or if you just want to check which courses you should register for a particular program, then you can certainly seek advice from the Academic Advising Center. Or if you know which program that you're interested in, what you want to take as a major and or a minor, then you can certainly speak to the academic program officers within the departments. And I should also mention, I would recommend that everyone sort of plan well ahead of the registration date so that you know which courses you want to take, and also prepare a schedule so that you have it all ready by the time your registration date and time rolls around. So reach out to the academic advising or to the academic program officers in the departments that you're interested in doing your major or minor in.
Dr. Fridgen, the next question's for you. What's the difference between a regular degree and an honors degree?
So there's a few differences between a regular and an honors degree, and those differences depend on the department that you're doing your major in. So in the calendar, the MUN calendar, the requirements to get into an honors degree are listed for each different department. In general, you're going to need a little higher average to get into the honors. For example, grades of B or 75 average in a list of specified courses. So it's important to look at the calendar. You're also going to be required to take a few more fourth-year courses than a regular degree. And there's a thesis requirement. And that thesis requirement allows you to do research, normally in the final year of your studies. And you get to put together everything you've learned from all your courses throughout the first 3 years. I strongly urge students to aim for the honors degree, especially right from first year. That's the best place. You may not decide to finish it, but aim for the honors degree. Depending on what major you go into, look at the calendar first, see what you need to get an honors degree, and then make a plan for the next 2, 3, or even 4 years, but especially for next year. And again, your academic program officers in the department can, or even a faculty advisor, or perhaps the head, somebody in the department can certainly help you answer any specific questions you have, or maybe answer some questions that might be confusing about the calendar regulations.
Dr. Bungay, another student has asked, how do I apply for a major and when should I do that? And what happens if I'm not accepted?
Okay. So this also is dependent on the department. So I would recommend that if you're considering declaring a major, or if you want to apply for a major in a specific department, that you speak again to your academic program officer. Some programs, some departments use online forms, so your academic program officer can certainly provide you with the details of how and when to apply. Some programs have a specific deadline, and some programs are competitive. So you want to make sure that you are aware of the deadline for applying for a major, if there is one, and how you would go about that. So speak to your academic program officer. Generally, students would declare a major at the end of their first year, so when they have completed 30 credit hours. And if there is a specific department, if a department has specific requirements, you can get those or find what those are from your academic program officer as well. If you apply and you do not get accepted, then you should speak to the department about what would be your best route through courses, or what would be the most appropriate courses to take if you want to maybe apply again next time. But your academic program officer would be the best contact there as well.
The next question is also for you, Dr. Bungay. If a student starts in January, when would they be eligible to declare a major?
Right, so that's also dependent on the particular department. So again, some departments have particular deadlines for accepting major declarations. So say some departments accept applications for major once per year. So depending on if there is such a deadline, when that deadline is, and whether or not you are able to complete all of the required courses that that department has in order to apply for a major, you may be able to apply, after you've completed 30 credit hours, or it may be a little later in order to match the deadline date for the particular major.
Dr. Fridgen, the next question asks, what's the difference between joint majors and double majors?
Okay, so a joint major has prescribed courses from, the majority of them are going to be from two different departments in the Faculty of Science. And actually we do have some joint majors and honors from HSS, so geography and economics. You can do a joint major in those with some of the sciences, or an honors. We have about 30 different joint programs that lead to either regular or honors degrees, and you can see the list of them in the calendar along with all the course requirements. A double major, which is a lot more rare to get, means that you've done all the courses that would be expected for two different majors. So for example, if you had decided you wanted to do a double major in math and physics, you would do all the courses for a math degree and all the courses for a physics degree, noting that there are some overlapping courses in there as well. But those are the main differences. Probably a joint degree, most of them should be doable in the 4 years, but a double major might be difficult to do in 4 years, might take you an extra year.
Dr. Bungay, this student would like to know what job opportunities are available to them as a student.
Okay, so there are a number of options for sort of working on campus or remotely at the moment. So Student Life has a website that has sort of an overview of work experience options. And a couple of those options would be the MUSEP and ISWEP programs. So every semester there is a list of jobs available for that term posted on the Student Life website, and you can go in there and apply for those jobs. Again, those jobs are generally remote at the moment. So you would apply during the first week of the semester, and then the position will run for that one semester. And there are also, for any students who would be interested in research, there's also the NSERC USRA or SURA program. So those are undergraduate research positions that you may also be interested in, and you can find more information about that on the Faculty of Science website.
Dr. Fridgen, this is a question that is probably on a lot of students' minds. Should they be making plans to move to St. John's for September?
So I have to look into my crystal ball. I think the federal government has said that anyone who wants a vaccine by the end of the summer will have a vaccine by the end of the summer. Now, they did most recently, I think they said by the end of September, which I think most people would have thought by the end of August is the end of summer, but they are actually correct that summer doesn't end until the end of September. So I don't know whether they've changed that or what. But I think the plan for Memorial is that we are moving towards bringing students back to St. John's beginning in the fall. In the Faculty of Science, that would be most important. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be sitting in a 300-seat classroom with 300 students in the classroom. You'll probably be sitting in a 300-seat classroom with 40 or 50 students in them, at least for the fall semester. But it's important that we get you back here because we need to get you into labs, whether that's computer labs or wet labs like in chemistry and physics and biology and biochemistry. So we need to get you here. So I would be erring on the side and making plans to find a place in St. John's and be prepared to be studying here. Chances are some of the bigger courses probably will be continued. The lecture portion will be delivered remotely, but we can't do labs remotely for too long. We need to get you in there and get some hands-on experience.
I don't see any other questions in the queue, but I wondered, considering that the folks that are on the panel with us haven't had an opportunity to speak, I wondered if anyone wanted to take a few minutes to add something from their department's perspective. I mean,
Kelly, could we actually, it might be a good idea, and people can decide whether they want to say something else as well, but it might be a nice idea for everyone on the panel to at least introduce themselves so that there's a face and a name to each of the departments. I think we have someone from each of our departments, and at the very least, just introduce yourselves and your department. And maybe, can you see the list, Kelly, and you can go down in alphabetical order?
Yes, and I think there's another question to get to as well. So I'll do the round table first, and then I'll get to the new question. We'll start on my screen with Dr. Barry Power.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Barry Power. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Chemistry, formerly the academic program officer in chemistry as well. So if anyone has any questions pertaining to programs, registration, courses, and whatnot in the Department of Chemistry, certainly able to help you out with that.
All right, next on my screen is Cathy Hyde.
Hi, I'm Cathy Hyde. I'm the Academic Program Officer for Computer Science. We do have a competitive major. Shireen mentioned different departments have different processes for applying for the major. So if you have any questions about the competitive major or anything else, definitely get in touch with me.
And next is Danielle Nichols.
Hi, I'm Danielle Nichols. I am the Program Officer for the Department of Ocean Sciences. We currently have 3 majors, one in Ocean Science, one in Ocean Science Environmental Systems, and the jointly administered major in Marine Biology. So you can go to me or to the Biology Department for any questions.
Dr. Greg Dunning, you're next.
Okay, hi, I'm Greg Dunning. I'm the head of the Earth Sciences Department. Open to answering any questions. One of the major features of Earth Sciences, as a few other science departments too, is we have quite a few field courses, and that is one of the main problems we've had with the pandemic is we have not run field courses, and we're hoping to get 2 years worth of field courses done by Christmas.
All right, Dr. Mark Berry.
Yeah, hi, I'm Dr. Mark Berry. I'm head of biochemistry. We have undergraduate degrees in biochemistry and in nutrition. And I would just really emphasize that students need to be talking to the departmental APOs or academic advisors, whatever they happen to be referred to in each department. And that is in part because, as has been mentioned, you do need to plan 2 to 3 years in advance with respect to courses, and the advisors know what absences are coming up in a department, whether that be sabbaticals, whether that be impending retirements, and the impact that may have on what courses can be offered. So it's really, really important that you do, even if you think you know what you need to do and you've planned it all out based on the calendar, it's still really, really important to at least touch base with the advisor in each department, just to make sure that those courses are actually still going to be in existence in 2 years' time when you think you need to take them.
Right. Next up is Dr. Rick Goldstein.
Hi, I'm Rick Goldstein. I'm the academic program officer in physics and physical oceanography. I also teach a variety of usually first-year courses. We have a variety of programs. They're not competitive as psychology is, so it's usually not hard to get into the program as long as you meet the requirements for grade and courses done. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. I'm easy to contact me on the physics website. Thanks.
Next, we have Tara Stuckless.
Hello, I'm Tara Stuckless. I work in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics. I'm your primary point of contact for first-year students especially. If you have questions pertaining to specifically to the statistics programs, I would probably refer you to our Deputy Head Statistics, who is currently Dr. Yildiz Yilmaz. But feel free to contact me about anything related to math and stats. And if I can't help you, I would certainly know who to refer you to. And I'd also encourage everyone to, all the math students, if you're taking a math course, don't forget about the Math Help Center. If you go to our website, which you can find through mun.ca, you'll find a link to the Help Center website, and that's a great resource for students. So good luck in your studies.
And not to be left out, Tyler Reardon.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm Tyler Reardon. I'm the academic program officer with the Department of Psychology. I'm your point of contact for any questions you have about the minor and major programs that we offer. I would suggest you check out the mun.ca/psychology departmental webpage. You can find program information there, and my contact information is there, and I'm more than happy to help you as much as I can with getting into the program and while you're in the programs.
Thanks for that. The question that came in just before we began was, will the move to the new science building impact the science course offerings this summer?
I guess I can take that initially. I think the short answer to that is yes. However, I'm not entirely sure how exactly that's going to affect the course offerings, and I'm not sure. So that the three departments that are moving are biochemistry, biology, and chemistry, and I wonder if Mark and Barry and Rick, or sorry,
no,
Oh, we don't have someone from biology here. Anyway, I think the courses will be offered that are normally offered, but maybe you guys have something else to say about how they will be offered.
Yeah, so in biochemistry, we don't normally offer any courses spring, summer, other than we offer a 1430, which is the biochemistry for nurses, which can't be used towards a major. And that's been a dedicated online course for several years now. So that won't actually change at all. That will still be going ahead. We have been trying to offer courses at Harlow, but unfortunately, those have kind of been shot in the head for the last 2 years. But yeah, we don't offer things during the summer generally, so we're really not particularly impacted. Yeah.
For chemistry, right now our move is slated for a 4-week period during July. And we typically offer all 3 of our first year courses over the summer. Chemistry 1010 happens in the intersession, so that course will be finished by mid to late June, so that won't be impacted by the move whatsoever. Chemistry 1050 and 1051 take place over the entirety of the spring semester. At this point in time, we don't know if we'll be allowed to bring people in for labs yet, or if we'll still be remote. If we are in person, then we have people on campus for labs. How the move is going to impact that still kind of remains to be seen. But at the moment, we are planning for all 3 courses to offer over the summer as usual.
And there's another question or a question on labs. So obviously a lot of first year labs didn't take place this year. Some did in different capacities. Is there a plan to provide a lab instruction session, such as a non-credit course, for example, to first years so that they can get used to lab work prior to starting their second year courses?
And I think, again, I'm going to leave that to at least the hands-on lab people. So Dr. Goulding, Dr. Barry, and Dr. Power, and Dr. Dunning, actually. I'm hoping I'm not missing anyone. Yeah, they have first year hands-on labs that would have been impacted.
I guess I'll speak first. So in our first year courses, we've made a great effort to try to make the labs, even though they're done at home this year, we've tried to make them as close to something that a student might see in a real lab, so that next year, when they go into second year, the transition will be, there'll still be a transition, of course, but it should be a manageable one. So from our point of view, we've tried to keep most of the structure of our labs similar, but just in a home environment.
Yeah, so again, biochemistry is a little different. We don't have labs in first year. Only first year courses, the one that we're just offering for the first time right now, and that has no lab associated with it. So in biochemistry and nutrition, you don't start labs until second year. And again, we're a little different than most other departments in that we actually have dedicated lab courses rather than the traditional lecture lab combination. So the biggest adjustment we've got to try and work out is, because we had the option of just cancelling our lab courses this year, is how we kind of condense 2 years worth of people down into 1 year, especially if we're not at full capacity because of physical distancing, which will be interesting, but it may be that we just have to restrict our labs just to those who actually need it for their major, and we have to put a priority system in for a year or so, at least until we can get back up to full capacity. But for us, again, there'll be minimal impact of the last year.
Mark, what about so students going into second year taking a biochemistry lab wouldn't have had the opportunity to do hands-on biology or chemistry. Would that affect them, or will there be some sort of catch-up for the biochemistry lab?
We found from experience, and this isn't meant to sound as a dig at other departments because it's not meant that way at all. We have found that Students going from first to second year with the 3-month summer break in between tend to have forgotten an awful lot by the time they show back up in second year. So we've our second year lab course is basically designed where the first week or so is just reteaching them how to do pipetting and how to pipette properly. Yeah, there shouldn't be any issue whatsoever.
In chemistry, we're certainly in a conundrum because with the equipment and the chemicals and things that are required, chemistry labs certainly aren't something that can necessarily be done at home. So there's a full year of experience and skill that's completely been lost at the first year level. And in the Department of Chemistry, we have over 1,000 students that take first year chemistry courses in the fall semester, and then around another 1,000 students that take first year chemistry courses in the winter semester. And so certainly that would be quite a number of students to catch up and bring to that lost experience when we do come back. And like Dr. Berry mentioned, when we do come back in lab, there are certain variables and constraints that we just don't know yet. What's the capacity going to be like? Generally speaking, for our second year courses, there will be the opportunity at the beginning of the semester for those students to refresh on lost lab skills, and that's something that will be incorporated into the curriculum for those lab courses. As of right now, there's no broader plan for all of the students that took first year this year to catch up on that lost lab experience. Certainly, I don't know if that's going to be feasible on our end.
Another question asks about workload. So obviously, the last year is been somewhat different from what students on campus would normally experience. The remote courses versus the in-person ones. How does the workload reflect what students can expect when they get here, especially for first years who don't have that experience yet? Number of assignments, length of time needed to complete labs, that sort of thing. What can they expect? Mark? And then we
Go ahead,
go to
Mark.
Tara.
I know in biochemistry and nutrition, the vast majority of our faculty have made conscious efforts to try and design things around basically on average 8 hours per week per course. So that would be traditionally 3 hours of lecture and then another 5 hours on top of that. Now, of course, that's the average. So some people may be much less than that, some people may be more than that, but we're kind of working on trying to keep students, an average student, at a 40-hour week if they're taking 5 courses. So that those who need to spend a little bit longer on material to keep up to date, they're maybe getting out to 10 hours a course and doing a 50-hour week rather than starting at a 50-hour week average and people ending up at 60 hours a week. So we're kind of aiming at 8 hours a week per course on average.
Tara, I think you were next, and then we can go to Tiber.
Yeah, I would say that math and stats has a similar expectation on students. Definitely with more time expected if you're coming from high school with not quite the right background that you might need for mathematics. So particularly if you did sort of the non-university stream mathematics in your high school, but now you're here and find that you need to do calculus, you should expect that's the 8 hours a week on a course is a bare minimum. Being an undergraduate student is a full-time job. And a lot of you are trying to balance that with work outside of school, which sometimes you have to do that. But certainly, you need to be dedicated and manage your time very well if you're working while you're being a full-time undergrad student. So again, 8 hours per week on a course minimum.
Tiber?
Just to add to that, I think it's important also for students to recognize the difference between real workload and perceived workload. And I know is a bit, might make it seem like the same thing, but especially when there's a full or partial online component. If you're sitting at home and you don't leave your house for 5 straight hours and you've had 5 straight classes, the perception is you've done a lot of work, right? And in the before times when it was all on campus and everyone was allowed to meet each other and spend 50 minutes in one room and then get up for 10 minutes and walk to a different room and sit for another 50 minutes and then take an hour break and hang out with your friends and go to another classroom in a different building. The perception is that you have 3 separate hour classes, right? So that doesn't seem as much work as sitting for 3 hours in front of a screen. So the thing to keep in mind about workload is it really more work than in a previous semester versus the perceived workload? And what professors are trying to do also, I'm sure, is create some sense of routine and pattern, because time management is really hard. And if anyone can figure that out, please let me know. So like managing your time is really difficult, and having the extra responsibility of being on top of a course that's delivered not in real time and sitting in on class material in addition to doing work that you would have to do to study and prepare for exams and evaluations, that sort of thing. So what I would suggest is what everyone has said so far is bang on, but also just keep in mind the perceived workload just because of the nature of working at home. Now in the fall, hopefully, if we're able to have in-class scheduling, that would certainly help with keeping track of the time that you're investing in your courses. But to take the responsibility to work at a certain pace, like there's a lot more responsibility on the student, fairly or unfairly. I mean, it just is what it is, sadly. But just the perception could be that there's a lot more work because it's difficult to keep the time management on point early in the term. Because if you get to week 3 and you haven't been able to keep on top of the material, then all of a sudden there's a lot more work that needs to go in to get back to square again. You know what I mean? So the real versus perceived workload is really important for students to appreciate early in their studies.
Mark?
Yeah, and just to pick up on some of what's been said, I think one of the things that students tend to focus inordinately on is, I've got to be done in 4 years, I've got to be done in 4 years, I've got to be done in 4 years. If you find yourself in a situation where this set of courses you're having to take in a particular semester, you're having to spend a little more time than the 8 hours average on those, and you're finding that you're getting up into that 50, 55, 60 hours a week, drop a course. Dear God, drop a course. Drop yourself down to 4, maybe even 3. You're still at a full-time student level at that point. But for your mental health, it's going to be much better. And yes, even if it means you have to come back for an extra semester at the end to catch up, or even an extra year and it takes you 5 years. It seems like a lot now. Believe me, 1 year when you're 20 is absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. Rather than trying to battle through and getting yourself stressed and just getting in a downward spiral and your grades being affected, it's not worth it. If you feel yourself getting overloaded, drop a course, go in, talk to the academic advisors. They'll be able to help you. Especially right now, it may be more feasible for you to pick up a spring-summer course as well, especially with them being remote. You can time it around a permanent job. So it's you need to be realistic and ask yourself those hard questions. But yeah, don't get fixated on that. I've got to be done in 4 years. If I take longer, it's going to count negatively against me. It's going to impact my ability to get into grad school or get a job. It absolutely is not.
That's right. And an extra year might, like what Dr. Barry said, look like a long time because you're in your early 20s. People who went to high school in Ontario and they're my vintage or older, we actually had 5 years of high school. We went to grade 13. I know that sounds crazy, but we did. And we're okay.
And that was a question that just came in about whether or not doing it in 5 years, made someone appear to be less competitive for admission to science programs.
And especially not given what's gone on in the last year to 18 months, it's actually going to be expected. And if you go for interviews, you spin it. I realized this was happening to me. I made the decision. I am more self-aware than other people. That's how you spin it. You turn it into a positive.
And it certainly is, as Dr. Berry said, your mental health and the stress level, managing that stress level is a lot more important than rushing through to get it done in 4 years.
Well, that's all the questions that I have at the moment. Oh, Dr. Bungay?
Yeah, I was just going to add, just going back to the question about the job opportunities. I didn't mention that a lot of programs also have co-op or internship or work term options. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would you take a look at the calendar to see what the options are in your given major. And again, you can speak to your academic program officer, and also we have cooperative education staff who you can speak with as well, and career advisors you can speak with. So that's another opportunity for another job opportunity is co-op programs.
And which programs have co-op? It's biology, biochemistry, psychology, computer. Oh, biochemistry doesn't? Okay, not yet. Psychology and computer science. Does math? No. Okay.
Danielle, you were going to say something?
Just going to say a lot of students also reach out to me for volunteer experience. And then sometimes, even if it's not for pay, students just want to get an idea of what a career might be like in a certain field. And we're always open to that. And I'm sure other departments are as well.
Yeah, there's lots of opportunities. Let's Talk Science looks for volunteers. Danielle's public education program up at the Ocean Science Center. So a lot of departments have opportunities like that. Anything else anyone wanted to add? No, I don't have anything else to ask about. So I guess we can end it there, unless Dr. Bridgen has any wrap-up remarks.
Nothing really to say other than to thank everyone for watching and contributing, and as well as our panelists for helping our students, helping our first-year students in this case, look for some brightness that's hopefully going to come next year for them. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.